so much of what you learn from being a musician is just being around other people that are super good at what they do and them just like humbling you and then you wanting to get better because you're around people that are really good.
Man, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty great. I got this morning. I went for a jog and I listened to your whole introvert project, and I was really taking the time to analyze it, and I enjoyed it. I enjoy a lot of harmonies, and you're all about harmonies, so I really
Yeah,
love
bro.
that project.
Big time, big time. Me and my really good friend that made the album with me, his name's Julius. Like he's he's a big 90s R&B guy and I love all of that stuff too. But together it's like sometimes people got to stop us from doing harmonies and everything cuz it's what we always go back to sometimes, but you know, it's not the worst thing to always do.
Yeah, I get you. But no, for everybody watching, welcome back to the Creative Hills podcast. I'm Anthony Brandon, and today we have Gray Oaks. Man, for everybody watching, can you introduce yourself for a bit?
Yeah, I'm Gray Oaks. I'm a producer, writer, uh, instrumentalist. I'm from North Carolina. So basically, like right outside of Raleigh. I really produce and write all my own stuff. I'm 22. I graduated last year. So it's kind of in the midpoint, like everybody else is, graduating from college and then it being a pandemic. I was like, all right, well, and I dropped an EP slash album or just project as everybody just calls everything nowadays
Yeah.
in July. So I'm working on a lot of new stuff now. Kind of through the pandemic, it was just a weird time, but I have like 60 songs that I'm windling down trying
Yeah,
to
that's
pick.
great. I love that, man. How
Yeah,
often are
man.
you making songs right now? Like, or how often are they coming out? Are you knocking them out just like two multiple a day, like one every week?
I
How does it
make
work for you?
I make like 3 or 4 beats every day usually. So it's like I do a lot of production for other artists that, I'll do beats and work with my friend JT. We kind of bounce beats back and forth and all that stuff. So it's usually like 3 beats a day. And then I'll have like one at least 8 bar loop that I really like for myself a day. And so then I'll go off of that. And then the 8 bar loops that I really like, I'll be like, all right, well, this could turn into a song. So it's usually I'll have about five songs a week that are 70% there as far as structure that I go from. Um, you know, you got to make a lot of them to get ones that you actually like. That's really how it goes.
True. Like at this point, do you what's like the where do you kind of draw the line of this is gonna be for me or this isn't? Like, is it an immediate like once you're making it, you're like, okay, I could definitely see myself on this. If not, like you don't force it at all and you just put it to the side.
That's usually how it goes. That's a really good question. It's like some of them I hold on to because I'm like, oh man, I really like this and I wish that I could do something over it. But I've gotten self-aware enough to know when it's in my vein or when it's something I should push myself to be on. But it's like I'm not gonna make, if it's like a boom bat beat that just feels like Code of the Friend is gonna be on it or something like that. I'm like, no, I'm not gonna try to like bend my genre to try to work on that song for myself because it's just I know when it's outside of my realm of what I'm gonna naturally kind of flow on. And
Yeah.
that's usually how it goes. And you do
Okay.
know that really quick
Yeah.
a lot of times.
I feel that. So you do, like you said earlier, like you do a lot of things. Like, um, for everybody watching, like I'm pretty sure, I'm 100% sure that none of that was overnight, and all of that took like many, many, many years for you to develop. Like, how early did you start off making music?
Yeah, man. So like a lot of dudes my age that play guitar, really, it's like think you're John Mayer for 2 years, a year and a half, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna play guitar on everything. Like that was probably when I was like 14. I got my first guitar when I was 13. And so it was like guitar fever for the first 3 to 4 years. And I mean, guitar is really where it started from with me. Like I went to school for jazz guitar, or at least to start with. I went on a scholarship for jazz guitar. And like where I was really going for a while. And I always wrote songs and sang as well, but it kind of started from that guitar, center point. And then throughout the process, it was like each person I would meet or kind of work with would teach me something. And it's really like that kind of has developed what I will go into next. So it's like either that's songwriting, or then like for the last 2 or 3 years, it's been really production, like getting drums that feel good, and like not overplaying guitar stuff. Like the process has really been each kind of season of stuff I'm making is a new skill that I'm kind of learning with them, I would say. So it's been really interesting, man, for sure.
Who are like your inspirations or the people that influenced you a lot growing up? Like, who are you listening to? I see you got the
So,
blonde in the back. You got the Tyler the Creator.
oh yeah, man. And those are definite, like, they're almost artist inspirations as much as anything else too. Or like I love both of those albums. Those are definitely two of like my top 20 ever. But it's like they are kind of the pinnacle of how to just be a full all-around artist, where it's the music and the image and everything else that you do. I really love Frank Ocean and Tyler the Creator for that. But each season, kind of like I was saying, with what I've learned, is kind of had its own inspirations. But growing up, I loved a lot of John Mayer, Stevie Wonder. Um, I was really big into a lot of those artists. I always had kind of D'Angelo was always a really big one for me as a guitar player, and like just the harmonies come back to that too, where it's kind of that soul, neo soul vibe with a little bit of like the jazzy, chord stuff. That was always a big part of what I really gravitated towards. And it's like over the last 3 or 4 years, I've really loved, like, I'm a huge Mac Ayres fan. I love all the stuff he does.
Mac Ayres is dope, definitely.
He's the man. I like Berhana a lot. Berhana's awesome. I love all his production he does, and just his last album I thought was really good. It's always kind of floated, but mainstays, John Mayer was definitely like the guitar guy that got me into it. And then like Stevie Wonder, as far as songwriting, I would listen to the most, I would say.
Gotcha. I like what you said about how you really paid attention to Frank Ocean and Tyler the Creator on how they're not just good at making music, but their overall experience of why people fuck with them in general. Like,
Yeah,
it's like
no doubt.
and I think a lot of artists maybe that are struggling to create an initial buzz or a following, like a lot of them, I know a lot of great artists that actually make great music, but a lot of them, maybe they're not so savvy on like the technical side of things, or maybe they don't think too much about like, oh, okay, like this is the look, who am I? Like, and it really answering these questions. And I think like artists like Tyler, they're really great at painting a picture of who they are through their art, through their visuals, through the sunflowers. Like,
Yeah, dude. It's awesome. And that's definitely something that I've found myself. It's something I have to work at, like, especially with visuals. Visuals are such a huge thing now for every release. It's like, do you have the Spotify canvas? Do you have the visuals for your Instagram ads? Like, do you have all of that secondary stuff that you really have to think like a filmmaker making music now? Like for me, Blonde and Igor and all the albums that really do that. I mean, Childish Gambino literally made a feature film because of the internet, but it's like all those dudes are so good at marrying all those different forms of media and really making it into like a media package. The Weeknd too, with his newest release, like the man's writing out that album for literally like 2 years, gonna be with just dropping singles and videos, and it's just like it's overwhelming to do it alone, or like just a small, trying to develop all of the things that come along with just making a good song in the age of the internet is so different. And those two are definitely two of the guys that have always just had like the right amount of mystery, but also the intrigue to go along with it. So
yeah, it's crazy like how much everything's developing. Of like, it's easier on the standpoint of like creating things. I think it's easier than ever, but because of that, like the standards go up and the bar is being raised every time. It's like now music videos aren't enough. Now you need a visualizer for every single song.
It's insane. And that's the type of stuff that's inspiring. Like, but I have to remind myself a lot with just TikTok and everything else to like, you can't, it's a really rare person that's good at all of it. And you got to have those people that, you trust, that are good at different aspects than you. And really, you just have to, help coach them in what you're seeing. And so it's, it's a really cool and interesting thing. And it's the easiest time ever to find people that are just accessible and like easy to make stuff with, that don't have big egos. Like, one of my favorite things to do is just scroll through Instagram and find like dudes that are just nasty at bass, or girls that are just like ridiculous guitar players or pianists, or like they have awesome photography, like, and just reach out to those people and really just try to network with them. Cause I mean, that's always what makes me feel so good, is like when people reach out to me for stuff. But it's just crazy the time we live in, where you can see so much talent all the time, and it can make you feel like you're not doing enough. But then at the same time, it's just like the overexposure is really what makes that happen.
No, that's true. Like honestly, like for anybody watching, like reach out to that person that you're a fan of. You never know who will reply. Some will, some won't. It's just like
Yeah.
you never know at the end of the day, and it's just and also having something to add to the table. So always make sure you have something available that people can. At the end of the day, everything's an exchange of energy, and everyone,
Exactly.
no one wants to be just taken advantage of and just do things just to do them. So
No, and people are always looking for that stuff. Like, the artists that stay are the ones that know you have to have people, getting you the new waves and helping sustain you. And it's just like, those people are easy to get in touch with, if you make the right waves yourself. So that's a great point.
no, yeah, true. I saw a post earlier that you made of like all the people that were helping you, or that have, or I don't know if it's your team, if it's your circle, if it's just people close to you that you've been working with over the years. But how important have they played in a role in your project and your music and your whole career?
Yeah, man, there's definitely been so many people that have, kind of been in my corner. Like, I've always had, like, my family's always been really great. My mom has like awesome music taste and kind of put me on to a lot of the stuff. She was my OG Spotify playlist algorithm, before the days I could actually check that stuff out. So just from her to, boys that I grew up with in high school that were either drummers or just like, instrumentalists, and just jamming, like, really, that's so much of what you learn from being a musician, is just being around other people that are super good at what they do, and them just like humbling you, and then you wanting to get better because you're around people that are really good. So I've had a lot of people throughout my life, like I said, my friend JT, who we're actually from the same hometown, and he's a disgusting producer, and kind of taught me, a couple years older than me, and he taught me a lot of the production stuff that I've known and learned now. So it's really just being a sponge is what it comes down to people that are put in your life and have that good energy that make you want to create.
Yeah, I know. So you're from North Carolina. Like I think I told you before that like two of my ex roommates were actually from there, and so like North Carolina, surprisingly, there's like a good amount of talent out there, right?
It's crazy, man. North Carolina, I mean, I'm not too far from, the Dreamville guys, where
Mm,
like J. Cole still, like, you'll see him at a lot of like UNC games and stuff. Like, he comes through, he's got his whole squad, and they all record like Dreamville. That whole last record was recorded in Cary, which is like a suburb of Raleigh. Like, it's not like some huge place at all. But you've got a lot of people doing it. Like Moses, what's the name? Sumner. He lives in Asheville now. Like, there's just a lot of dudes and girls in North Carolina, and it's close enough to places like Atlanta, and you're like in between Atlanta and Nashville, kind of. So you're not. There's a lot of kind of connective tissue there
yeah.
for sure.
Is your plan? Are you planning on staying in North Carolina for a while? Are you planning on moving to places like Nashville, Atlanta, LA? Like what's in store, or what are the future plans for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing because it's like I'm going to either LA or New York for a while this summer.
Okay.
and just like producing, writing with people, trying to get some stuff tracked. Um, and it's like a lot of the people that I've talked to, like I have a homie that writes for Ones to Watch. And like he lives in LA, but he also is like now thinking about moving from LA, and
Yeah.
like so many of these people are, and then they're moving back from New York or out of New York. It's like the pandemic really changed my outlook on that a lot, because it was already, globalized because of the internet, but the locale of where you are is less and less important. So I don't know. I don't know where I'll be. It's a lot cheaper to not live in LA, but I know the benefits you get to like are just ridiculous. The people you're around. So
Yeah, it's like you said, it has its pros and its cons. Like I moved out here to LA maybe like 6 months ago, and
yeah,
oddly enough, like I have all these people around me, and it's been cool. Like there's definitely like perks, but at the same time, like LA or California in general happens to be like one of the strictest like places
yeah,
right now.
dude.
And
It's
so that's kind of
crazy.
crazy. But even then, like we're like you're in North Carolina
Exactly.
right now, and it's like we're doing this right now. So it's like location really doesn't matter as much anymore.
Not as much. Yeah. And it's good as long as you know how to kind of connect with people, like we were saying earlier with Instagram. And, I always see myself taking time to be in those places. But I mean, like, it's weird, dude, because Charlie Hunter, who's like a legendary bass player, guitarist, he plays like a 6-string bass, but like he literally, I mean, he played on Voodoo, Channel Orange, like all these legend Continuum. Like that man, I watched him play my whole life, and now he literally lives in Greensboro, like right like 10 minutes from me, and is
Crazy.
working with all these artists in like right near my house. And it's so weird, the people that'll just pop up, and it's strange and global too. Like there's a lot of people that aren't even just in the States. Canada, I mean, Toronto is going insane right now with, you got, feels like half of the pop stars
Yeah, you're
that you
right.
hear from are from Canada. So it's just wild.
True. No, good points. So going back to your project, how was that process? Like, how long was that whole experience for Introvert?
Yeah, man. So I wrote the song Expressions, which was a single that dropped in like 2018 with my friend JT. And that was like the first thing we ever wrote and kind of produced together. And basically since then, that's kind of when we started writing a lot of those songs. We had a bunch of them and really narrowed it down to the 8 tracks that ended up on Introvert. So it was like a 2-year process, um, where we did some albums in between, produced together. We did an album for an artist named Also Joe, who's got a song called Two Straws, which is really good. Who's one of my homies from North Carolina too. But and we also did an album for an artist named Anna Lee Beck, who's awesome. But there's kind of like a stepstone process where it was like we really produced together a lot over that 2-year window.
Yeah.
And like we had songs that we thought were going to be the project. And then we were like, no, we just wrote 4 more songs that we liked more than the ones that we thought. So then it was just like, you reach that point where you're like, okay, I'm done. I'm happy enough with these that we have. And then you kind of iron those out to finish them.
Does it still
So
hurt
it was,
when you make songs and like that are left over and you just end up scratching them? Does that still hurt, or at this point have you completely gotten yourself detached from all those?
it's hard in terms of like, you still want to make them good enough, like you want to make them to the level of other songs, but I always have to think and be like, all right, well, I'm getting better through this process. And like, there may be moments from those songs that come back to life. Like I'll remember hooks, and like, I don't even know how many voice memos I have on my phone. And like, I have a weird organizational thing in my brain where I'm like, all right, like if I have a beat I like, maybe I'll go back and listen to this and throw it back on to this beat, like there's things that can happen like that sometimes, but I'm pretty good at detaching from them because I don't know, they serve their purpose, and really it's just like to get better. And then I don't see them as like a lost cause. Like if I just saw them as like sunken time and effort and all of that, then I would definitely feel worse about it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely a great way to to look at all that, honestly. So right now, with everything going on, or all the songs that you've made so far to this day, what song would you say was like something that you were the most proud of, or was there a moment where you were just like, this is why I make music, this is everything?
I love making music with people. So it's like I always give this advice to people that I write with and stuff is like get the track done that you want and then let people that you trust make moments on it. Like because I know personally I'm hardest and I'm like most judgmental on the parts of what I make, even though it's like I can be objective and be like, okay, I like this, but I'm gonna judge it harder if it came from all my brain. So it's like I love the songs that I had the most collaboration and like energy feeding off of one another. So I think off that album, one of my favorite moments is probably the outro of the song Sad Boy, because that's the second to last song. And it goes on this like, I kind of get to do like a sublime kind of guitar solo on the outro. And it's got some swirling BGVs, like the background vocals with JT and then me singing. JT, the guy who I produced with, is the one that sings with me on that song. Um, and so it's just like that was a super fun moment. It was like the last track that we finished, and I made the whole beat and sent it to him, and he was like, "Bro, I know I haven't asked to feature on any of these songs yet, but I want to feature on this one because I hear something." And I was like, "That's the kind of moments you live for when someone's like, I want to be on this with you." Like that's what I enjoy most. So I think that was probably one of the biggest things that stuck out to me on that whole project.
And at what moment were you like, all right, this is finished? Like, no more, no more. I can't touch this anymore. Like, it's time to put it out.
So you never, that's the part I don't know if you ever fully feel like you're always like, not everybody can be Kanye and be dropping mixes for Life of Pablo 2 years down the road and everything. But like, you always hear little things you wish you could change. But at a point, you're like, if I'm happy with the narrative or like the emotion that it's trying to convey, that's the biggest thing where it's like, does this feel like what I wanted it to? And that album was really born from like me driving home through my college years. And it's like a 3 hour drive back to my house from where I'm from where I went to school. And it's like, I would listen to music and just be like, dang, everything changes so much around you when you're in those years, like your early 20s,
Yeah.
and kind of being the album being representational of, that time you spent and how being detached from a location you're so familiar with, like where you grew up, you go home and things change. It makes you reflect on all of it. And so that album was kind of supposed to feel like one of those those drives home and the emotions that I would kind of feel on those journeys back. And so when I felt like that was how the whole project made me feel, I was happy with it. So even if there are little things and I would change in songs, if the overall thing was, you know, represented what I wanted it to, then I
And
was good.
was that the intention from the beginning of everything?
So after I wrote the song Jetta, I was like, okay, I know what I want the kind of concept to be, because Jetta felt like that idea to me exactly. And so I had the song Introvert, which is the title track. That I wrote that song in like 2017 when I was like 19. And I had that one forever. So that was just a super old song that I really liked. And it was probably the first song I wrote about that kind of emotion of being like, things are changing. I'm not sure how to be in this environment yet when I'm supposed to be a man, but not, I don't feel like that yet. Like
It's
that kind of thing.
well, it
And
was like a
so
coming of age story in a way, right?
it definitely felt like that.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have their coming of age album, moment in their life. And so, yeah, I remember that felt like, okay, I'm going to make this type of project. And I couldn't really help it. Like I would try to write about other things and it would just turn back into like songs about existential dread or growing up. And I'd be like, all right, well, I guess that's what we're doing. So it was cool. I'm glad that we made it that way too.
I love that, man. right now, like, are we working on another project already, or are you
Yeah,
kind of taking
man,
the time to?
definitely. So I can't help but write most of the time. Like even after I finished Introvert, I like the only week I took off like from trying to write stuff was the week after the album came out because I was like, I have to. But then I always do because it's just like my favorite thing to do anyway. So it's like even if I wasn't releasing any of it, I would still want to just mess around and make stuff in Logic and just have fun. So which is when you make your best stuff a lot of the time. Like when you're just having fun and not really worrying too much about it. But yeah, I've got a good collection of songs that I'm taking a different approach with this one because I'm trying to make them have kind of that quality that I was talking about where you have the visuals and you have everything else that goes along with it. So each one is kind of its own individual thing that you push out, and it'll probably be more like a 4 to 5 song EP thing where I do like 3 singles probably off of it, kind of like the Remy Wolf model. I don't know if you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
heard, like where they have a lot of singles that kind of do some lead up, and then you go through after that and kind of make the whole cohesive project. So it's
For
more
you,
poppy.
what makes a project cohesive in your eyes?
That's a good question. A lot of times for me, it's like the time of life you're making them, if that makes sense. It's like I tend to make more similar songs based off of what I'm listening to, and it just kind of happens that way. Like when I was making it was so much of Mac Airs, like the Lorem Pollen kind of Spotify playlist stuff. That was really the vibe. Healy's first album, I really bumped a lot when I was making that album.
He is great. Like, I really like
And
his whole
so it's
thing.
kind of,
Yeah.
he's a man. I love his stuff. His second album that he just came out with is awesome too. I love what he does. He's got a great team too. So his new album definitely something I've been inspired by for like acoustic guitars and stuff. And it's like those little moments kind of make an era of songs that should go together, in a way. And so
What's your
meaning of the songs aren't like this is like a mm-hmm.
Oh no, I was just gonna ask what's like. I can tell like from you talking about all these artists, I could tell that you spend a lot of time listening to music as well and being inspired by other things. What's your form? What's your method or your form of listening to songs? Is it usually in the car? Is it when you're out and about? Like how do you consume music?
I try to do it in multiple different ways just because I don't have as much time as I did before, like working, like as I do now. Like I can't, when I was in school, I'd be like, I'm walking to class, I'm listening to music. I'm studying for stuff, I'm listening to
Mm.
music. Like any of those, pretty much everything I was doing, unless someone was directly talking to me, I was going to be listening to music. So it's like, I have a really good network of friends that put me on to stuff and I send them stuff. And it's like, we all kind of like different parts of the musical sphere. So it's like together, it helps me have a good kind of picture of what's going on in different worlds of music. But a lot of times for me, it's like albums are for driving the car. Like I need to get in the car and I need to be able to listen to the whole album. And I live at the beach right now. So it's like I drive down to the beach and I'll just like listen to the whole thing all the way through and drive around. Sometimes at night, like it doesn't really matter. That's basically what's going to happen. Or I'll get my headphones. If it's like an album I'm really anticipated, then I got to get like my nice Sony headphones on and basically just like lock the door and sit in my bed and just listen to it all the way through because I need to have that experience with it alone before I talk to anybody about it. But
In the last year,
music's just one of those things.
oh, go ahead, go ahead.
No, it's just one of those things that, I'll take it in any medium I can. I'm not too picky about it.
Gotcha. What are like some of the biggest projects that you enjoyed in the last year?
2020. Let's see. It all runs together in my head for so much of what I really listen to. Let's see. let's see my top 100 kind of songs, what we were looking at for 2020. Because I had some ones that really impacted me a lot. I loved Omar Apollo's album. My
Mm,
number one song was definitely the Kamikaze track off that album.
Kamikaze. That music
I
video is
was
crazy.
Yeah, that music video was amazing. I love that song. He's such a guitar player, but he's got such good production that like his album definitely messed me up. I loved Steve Lacy. He didn't drop anything in 2020, but he just had that new demos. Was that early 2021 or was that 2020? Maybe it was 2020. But I listened to a lot of him because it's like a lot of the people that I really listen to are like guitar dudes who are also really nasty at other things. And so his demo, I still listen to his demo tape that he first came out with like Red on it and stuff like that all the time. Um, Jeremy Zucker's album, 2020, that album was so good.
Is that the
I loved that record.
that's the one with Chelsea Cutler on it, right? Or
Yep.
the
Yeah.
We're
And
Not
it's
Dying,
got
or
Not Your Friend.
what was it
It's
called again?
Love. I think it's called
Love
Love
is
Is Not
Dying, or
Dying.
Love is Dying, something like that.
Let's see. I got it right here. It's like Love Is Not Dying, I
Love is
believe the
Not
name of it
Dying.
is.
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's it. Love Is Not Dying. I got
That
it.
one was
Okay.
great.
That album, it was mixed by Jeffrey Ellis, who's like just disgusting. Like that man
Yeah,
he's one of
I
my
got put onto
favorite.
him. I got put onto him through listening to like Omar Apollo. He does Zoomies.
Yeah,
He does
dude.
literally
He
everybody in like the
mixes
bedroom pop.
everyone. Like he's a really nice guy. I've talked to him a lot of times just because like he's super open to DMing about things and like he gives super good advice. And that's one of those people that throughout just the pandemic, I was just whenever I had like he mixed that Verhana album too that I love. He mixed that. He mixed the Jeremy Zucker album, the Omar Apollo. He mixed one of Umi's EPs. Like he mixed Blonde. I mean, that's what really started
Yeah,
it. And
basically
Channel
everyone,
Orange, Channel Orange.
everyone in like the bedroom pop playlist. He's mixed
Yeah,
it.
yeah, he's mixed. He's mixed for all of them.
Yeah, I find it crazy how at this point all these artists that were, I guess, made the definition of bedroom pop don't even record in their bedroom anymore because of how successful they became.
I know it's crazy. Like Rex Orange County was like one of the first dudes, and now he's like one of the label guys for. I think he's on Sony, but it's just crazy
Yeah.
how much these. And I love it too. I mean, Dom Fike was one of my favorite albums too. I thought his album was great, and I've loved everything he's been doing this year too. Like his Photo ID with Remy Wolf was just awesome, and then his Paul McCartney, that song messed me up. I was not ready for how that he redid that Paul McCartney track. It was crazy.
If you could only have 3 features for the rest of your life, like right now, like 3 features from anybody, who would those 3 features be from?
Definitely Frank Ocean, SZA, I would go with. That's hard, man. It would be like I would have to have artists that I felt like I could make a song and be like, all right, they would fit on this. You know what I mean? So John Mayer would probably be one of the third ones just because you got to show respect to the dude that got me playing guitar. I'd have to be like, all right, that's the vibe for sure.
Yeah. Right now, how do you feel the reception has been on your newest music? Like, how do you feel it's doing? How do you feel people are taking it in? And have you been able to get it on Spotify playlist? Right now, what's like the main push that's been pushing it?
Yeah, man. So really, it's done well, especially because I'm just like independent completely. Like I do all of my own marketing and everything. Like people help me with the musical side, but once it's released, it's just me and whatever I can pay and try to do myself. So it's gotten in a lot of good Spotify playlists. It's got on both platforms, it's close to 1 million now total streams, which is good. Just because I was trying to push it a little differently than some of my singles, and I didn't lap any other singles that I'd released before onto it. So that was one thing I wanted to do is like I wanted it to be cohesive and not have 8 singles. and then be like, it's got 13 million streams, but I have songs all the way back from 2014 on it. Like I
Yeah.
see people doing, which I understand, but I didn't want to do that for this. And like, I mean, Spotify is definitely one of the main things that I've always used to push, like Discover Weekly, I've gotten most, I think 6 or 7 out of the 8 songs on Discover Weekly, so that they get picked up again. And then the algorithm really pushes them out to people, and getting people that I know on TikTok to post with them. I got some homies that have some love on TikTok, and just being like, that's such a big platform for getting people to listen to anything.
It definitely is. How has that been working for you? Or are you really trying to dabble more into TikTok? Like how do you see that space? Because I definitely see it being big. Yeah.
Sorry, you broke up there for a second. Can you say that again?
Oh no, I guess what have your strategies been for TikTok, or do you really see yourself wanting to spend more time on there?
I love TikTok for just how good of a tool it is. Like, I appreciate it. Like, I have one of my friends I grew up with has like 2 million followers on TikTok, and like they've always been super giving and just been like, I'm just going to post your stuff because I love that you've always done this as long as I've known you. And like, um, they just have always been really supportive of me on there, and just trying to get people that, like I've never wanted to just pay people to pay people on TikTok. Like I'll send it to TikTokers and be like, hey, listen to this. If you like it, let me know. Because, if I'm going to pay somebody, I want there to be the really potential that they actually enjoy it. Yeah, because they're gonna make stuff that's better if they like it. They're gonna try to make something that actually gets people to listen to your stuff. So I try to use it, as much as possible. I'm trying to post on there more too. Like that's something that's hard for me, just because it doesn't feel like creating the same way as making music as much as I do. Like trying to say, okay, maybe I don't make 3 beats today. Maybe I make no beats today, but I make a really good TikTok. Like that's something that's big. And I've been trying to do that. Like Umi posted me the other day on her Instagram for one video I did on TikTok playing one of her songs. I did a cover of Remember Me, and she shared it. And so it's just like getting those things out there and trying to make it so, you get those interactions and people have you in their consciousness. That's really a big part of it. It's harder though. I like marketing through Spotify, sometimes more because it feels like there's more control over it.
Yeah, definitely. A little bit more ROI on Spotify still at the moment. Like I feel like Apple Music's probably like the hardest one, or where it's just like it's harder to get leads in that area.
Oh yeah, they have it way more locked down. Like Apple Music is kind of like, I love Apple Music's like interface. Like I think it looks super good. Like I have both just because I'm stupid and I like to listen to both sometimes. And I share so much music with people, I get sick of them being like, nah, I have Apple Music, or nah, I have just Spotify, and like bouncing between them. But once my student discount runs out, I'm not going to do that. But right now I got the student discount on both. So I'm like, all right, I can run both. But Apple Music's interesting with it because like there are playlisters that everybody knows. Like all the big people know exactly who literally curate them. Same thing on Spotify, but it's like you don't get to ask them to be in anything. They have to ask the label. Like that's what it is. Like, but you're getting a lot of fans when you get plays on Apple Music. Like I got put in H&M's global, the song DUI got put in their global store-wide playlist for this album that's across the world in every store they have. And I started seeing like my Apple Music numbers just go crazy on that song. And I was like, and they count Shazams. And so I was like getting like over 1,000 Shazams a day on that song. And I was like, what happened? Like, I know this is in I figured it had to be a store, because I was like, there's nothing else where people are going to hear it that much. Like, there's no coffee shop that's running 1,000 people visiting it a day. Like, it's not going to happen.
That's crazy. Yeah. So one of my friends,
that type of stuff is cool. Like,
Yeah, one of my friends, she got on like I think it was like American Apparel while it was still there, and like she got on one of those playlists like years ago, maybe like 3 years ago, and she got like almost a million plays off of that just from it running and running and running, and that was like 3 years ago, like pretty early on.
That's
Yeah, I think
awesome.
right now, still to this day, I think for a while, playlists are going to be the move.
Oh yeah, man. Playlists are awesome. And like so much of what I do is like every day, like I try to find three or four, like I have a big spreadsheet of people's Instagram handles
Mm.
and their usernames. And I'll just be like, all right, well, this person has their Instagram handle in their Spotify playlist name. And like I'll just search a word a day. I'll be like vibe. And then I'll just look through all the user made playlists and be like, all right, well, here's these people. And like, if they have like over 40 likes on the playlist, I'll message them and be like, hey, here's my song. A lot of times they'll just be like, all right, you're added. And then sometimes they'll be like, hey, you can be added, but
You got to throw 20 my way.
you gotta send me something, you know. And so sometimes that's well worth it, but that's a big thing, you know, like getting those, running up the saves from those playlists and just like trying to get in those user made ones is huge.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. No, yeah. Right now for that, by the way, that was a great advice for any artist watching. Like, artists should definitely take notes of that.
Yeah, definitely do that. If you're trying to get some streams on a song, you can get 1,000 a week from some playlist for like $20. Like
Yeah, and
you can.
I feel like the most undervalued ones are like the ones that I think if you get 1,000 small ones, I think that might even be easier to start off with than rather than going straight for pollen or straight for bedroom.
Exactly, man. And like you get added to so many playlists because of that. Like people, if you make, first you got to make good music, but if you make good music and you get in playlists that people listen to, then all these other people that listen to that playlist are going to add you to theirs. And so then it's so funny just to look through names of playlists that you're in. And like, I'm in like Minecraft and chill. I'm in like, there's just so many names that are just funny. And that's what Spotify, I love Spotify for artists for that, because they give you so much detail that they don't have to, but they do. And I appreciate that. Like when everybody was railing on Spotify for like, they don't pay not anything, but I was like, yes, that's true. And Apple Music does pay you, you know, 0.5 of a cent more per stream. But I'm like, look, guys, Spotify gives you so much in terms of tools. Like they would be the best music marketing platform available to anyone in terms of like strictly about that. But it's just a tool that you get for free for uploading to their platform. So it's like, that's just it's crazy useful.
No, that's true, man. Right now, what are some what are some things that you like doing, like outside of music, like in general, like what when you're not making music, what do you like to do?
Yeah, man. I mean, I have two brothers, so I'm really close with them. And I have a lot of friends. Like I still live in where I graduated from college, so a lot of my homies are still here. So like we'll run 2K tournaments. We'll run Smash tournaments. Now that's
Smash.
serious.
That's serious.
The serious stuff right there. You start running a Smash tournament, I'm gonna get sweaty. I'm sorry, I have to go cloud. You got to give me the pro controller, and it's gonna go hard. I like when the gyms are open. I like weightlifting a lot, but that's kind of been shoddy over the last year, so not really that one as much. But yeah, man, I just go to the beach a lot when I can, kind of walk around and stuff like that at the beach. So sounds like a dating profile now, but like long walks at the beach, mainly.
Go hit him up on Tinder or Bumble. Go swipe
My
right.
girlfriend would not like that, but yeah, that's marketing. We do what we need to. We do what we need to get the music heard.
No other reason.
Yeah.
For you, like especially singers, bro. Like, speaking of that, like with relationships and everything, like is this, I know how often like there could be jealousy from just people giving out compliments, or like sometimes girls take it far, like not necessarily like your girlfriend, but like the girl sending the messages, they'll take it far and they'll like say some obnoxious shit, like actually trying to get at you. And then other times it's just like a simple, like, I love your voice. Like,
Yeah.
has that ever been a problem?
Live shows have always been like more of where that's happened.
Mm.
Like there's some definite times where I wish my mom was not in the audience at some live shows, but it's not been, people are, girls are usually pretty respectful. Like I feel like if I was a girl, I would have a lot more issues with dudes hitting me up on Instagram. Like
True.
usually girls are just like fans and they'll be like, I love this song, check it out. And like,
True.
Maybe that's just my experience. maybe I'm telling on myself and I don't have it like that, or I would be, but it's, there's been occasional ones, but it's usually pretty chill. Usually.
Going back to your live performances, like what's been like one of the performances that stood out to you the most?
Well, I was actually on American Idol when I was like a freshman in college. So it was like I did the whole tryout. That was an interesting experience, but it was like I performed in front of the judges, and that was definitely interesting because I sang, and it was just it was a very interesting look into that whole world of like.
How far did you make it into that show?
I made it into Hollywood Week until like the second round of that. So it was like, it was interesting because that was one of the first times I'd started to pivot from seeing myself as more of a guitar player. And I was like, oh man, people like hearing me sing as much as they do playing. So it was really cool. I met a lot of ridiculous people. I was like, man, I'm glad I can play guitar though, because there are some people that can just sing their asses off. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, Hollywood Week. So you actually made it on TV then, right? Because I've had a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, go on there, but he got to like the stage right before all that.
Yeah, they filmed me, but I wasn't ever shown. So it was like they filmed me, did all my interviews. They were like, okay, yeah, you're gonna be on it, and then they were like, tell me about your tragic life, and I was like, I haven't really had one too much, so I'm pretty good. I can't lie to you. So that was really that's an interesting part of that show. I had fun, man. It was awesome. It was really awesome. But
from what my friend told me, he said that like a lot of the behind the scenes are crazy of just like how much is like stage or like set up, or like they ask you to redo certain things, or just the reality of it's not just your voice at the end of the day or your talent. It is a combination of everything.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely is, which I understand. You got to get clicks. So much of it's YouTube. It's not just show. It's like, how many moms are going to share it on Facebook? And it's like that type of stuff is a huge part of any of those shows. So I get it. I figured that would be how it was, so I wasn't shocked in the other way. I was like, okay, yeah, I should have come up with something. I should have just been like, delete all social media. We're going to make this narrative, but
no. Yeah. Well, man, honestly, it was great talking to you today. Like, for any artists watching, actually, do you have any last words, any piece of advice or anything you wish to say to everybody watching right now?
I would say just make stuff first and worry about all of the kind of overwhelming aspect of it later, because you'll figure it out, and just get people that genuinely fuck with what you do, around you, because that's who you'll learn from. It's really just like, I always try to feel like I have to know everything and all of the stuff that I'm going to do, like every aspect of it. In reality, you got to be good at what you do, and you have to be open to criticism and have a tough enough skin to go on Submit Hub. And that's pretty much all you need to know. You got to get used to be rejected from blogs. That's a big part of it.
No, facts, man. No, but honestly, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming on here. Like, where can everybody follow you at?
Okay, so my Instagram is actually True Shade of Gray is where you can follow me. But I'm the only Gray Oaks on Instagram right now. So, maybe by the time this comes out, I won't be. But thank you so much for having me on, man. It's been really awesome talking with you. And I appreciate you, having me on and just having great questions too, because you've been You've been on the ball with some awesome questions that really get us talking.
Likewise, man. Thank you. Thank you. I really enjoyed this. But everybody watching,
Absolutely,
make
man.
sure you guys subscribe. Go follow Gray and everything that he has in store, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna do a lot of great things, man.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem, man. But take care, bro.
You too, man.
See you, bro.
Peace.